Chapter 15. After these things, the word of Jehovah came to Abram in a vision, saying, Do not fear, Abram. I am a shield for you. Your reward will be very great. At this Abram said, Sovereign Lord Jehovah, what will you give me, seeing that I am going childless, and the one who will possess my house is a man of Damascus, Eliezer? And Abram added, Look, you have given me no seed, and look, a son of my household is succeeding me as heir. But look, the word of Jehovah to him was in these words, This man will not succeed you as heir, but one who will come out of your own inward parts will succeed you as heir. He now brought him outside and said, Look up, please, to the heavens, and count the stars, if you are possibly able to count them. And he went on to say to him, So your seed will become. And he put faith in Jehovah, and he proceeded to count it to him as righteousness. Then he added to him, I am Jehovah, who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans, to give you this land, to take it in possession. To this he said, Sovereign Lord Jehovah, by what shall I know that I shall take it in possession? In turn he said to him, Take for me a 3-year-old heifer, and a 3-year-old she-goat, and a 3-year-old ram, and a turtle-dove, and a young pigeon. So he took all these to himself, and cut them in two, and put each part of them so as to match the other. But the young birds he did not cut in pieces. And the birds of prey began to descend upon the carcasses, but Abram kept driving them away. After a while, the sun was about to set, and a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and look, a frightfully great darkness was falling upon him. And he began to say to Abram, You may know for sure that your seed will become an alien resident in a land not theirs, and they will have to serve them, and these will certainly afflict them for 400 years. But the nation that they will serve I am judging, and after that they will go out with many goods. As for you, you will go to your forefathers in peace. You will be buried at a good old age. But in the 4th generation they will return here, because the era of the Amorites has not yet come to completion. The sun was now setting, and a dense darkness came, and look, a smoking furnace and a fiery torch that passed in between these pieces. On that day Jehovah concluded with Abram a covenant, saying, To your seed I will give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaim and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites. Chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian maidservant, and her name was Hagar. Hence Sarai said to Abram, Please now, Jehovah has shut me off from bearing children. Please, have relations with my maidservant. Perhaps I may get children from her. So Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. Then Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her Egyptian maidservant, at the end of 10 years of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Abram her husband as his wife. Accordingly, he had relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. When she became aware that she was pregnant, then her mistress began to be despised in her eyes. At this Sarai said to Abram, "The violence done me be upon you. I myself gave my maidservant over to your bosom, and she became aware that she was pregnant, and I began to be despised in her eyes. May Jehovah judge between me and you." So Abram said to Sarai, "Look, your maidservant is at your disposal. Do to her what is good in your eyes." Then Sarai began to humiliate her, so that she ran away from her. Later, Jehovah's angel found her at a fountain of waters in the wilderness, at the fountain on the way to Shur. And he began to say, "Hagar, maidservant of Sarai, just where have you come from, and where are you going?" To this she said, "Why, from Sarai my mistress I am running away." And Jehovah's angel went on to say to her, "Return to your mistress, and humble yourself under her hand." Then Jehovah's angel said to her, "I shall greatly multiply your seed, so that it will not be numbered for multitude." Further, Jehovah's angel added to her, "Here you are pregnant, and you shall give birth to a son, and must call his name Ishmael, for Jehovah has heard your affliction. As for him, he will become a zebra of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and the hand of everyone will be against him, and before the face of all his brothers he will tabernacle." Then she began to call the name of Jehovah who was speaking to her. "You are a God of sight," for she said, "Have I here actually looked upon him who sees me?" That is why the well was called Beer Lahairoi. Here it is between Kadesh and Bered. Later on, Hagar bore to Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son whom Hagar bore Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old at Hagar's bearing Ishmael to Abram. Chapter 17. When Abram got to be 99 years old, then Jehovah appeared to Abram and said to him, "I am God Almighty. Walk before me and prove yourself faultless. And I will give my covenant between me and you, that I may multiply you very, very much." At this, Abram fell upon his face, and God continued to speak with him, saying, "As for me, look, my covenant is with you, and you will certainly become a father of a crowd of nations. And your name will not be called Abram any more, and your name must become Abraham, because a father of a crowd of nations I will make you. And I will make you very, very fruitful, and will make you become nations, and kings will come out of you. And I will carry out my covenant between me and you, and your seed after you, according to their generations, for a covenant to time indefinite, to prove myself God to you, and to your seed after you. And I will give to you and to your seed after you the land of your alien residences, even the entire land of Canaan, for a possession to time indefinite, and I will prove myself God to them." And God said further to Abraham, "As for you, you are to keep my covenant, you and your seed after you, according to their generations. This is my covenant that you men will keep between me and you men, even your seed after you. Every male of yours must get circumcised. And you must get circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it must serve as a sign of the covenant between me and you. And every male of yours 8 days old must be circumcised, according to your generations. Anyone born in the house, and anyone purchased with money from any foreigner who is not from your seed. Every man born in your house, and every man purchased with money of yours, must without fail get circumcised. And my covenant in the flesh of you men must serve as a covenant to time indefinite. And an uncircumcised male who will not get the flesh of his foreskin circumcised, even that soul must be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. And God went on to say to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, you must not call her name Sarai, because Sarah is her name. And I will bless her, and also give you a son from her. And I will bless her, and she shall become nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. At this, Abraham fell upon his face, and began to laugh, and to say in his heart, Will a man 100 years old have a child born? And will Sarah, yes, will a woman 90 years old give birth? After that, Abraham said to the true God, O that Ishmael might live before you. To this God said, Sarah your wife is indeed bearing you a son, and you must call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for a covenant to time indefinite, to his seed after him. But as regards Ishmael, I have heard you. Look, I will bless him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him very, very much. He will certainly produce 12 chieftains, and I will make him become a great nation. However, my covenant I shall establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you at this appointed time next year. With that, God finished speaking with him, and went up from Abraham. Abraham then proceeded to take Ishmael his son, and all the men born in his house, and every one purchased with money of his, every male among the men of the household of Abraham, and he went to circumcising the flesh of their foreskins in this very day, just as God had spoken with him. And Abraham was 99 years old when he had the flesh of his foreskin circumcised. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he had the flesh of his foreskin circumcised. In this very day Abraham got circumcised, and also Ishmael his son. And all the men of his household, anyone born in the house, and anyone purchased with money from a foreigner, got circumcised with him.